I would begin with talking about our goal as educators. And when I think about my contribution as educators, it is to help create individuals who are responsible towards others, towards their schools, towards their communities, and towards the world in general. It is about raising individuals who are not indifferent or ignorant beings, but the ones who take responsibility and initiative to make this world a better place to live in. And according to me, the best way that I can help individuals become better human is by teaching them empathy. When we think about empathy, we believe that empathy is something natural. It comes us naturally. The ability to understand others is something that we are born with. But I believe it is time that we should explicitly teach empathy to our students. Individuals and societal success depends on educating and raising individuals who care about others. Unfortunately, we have misled today's children into believing that success depends on test scores, academic achievement, and personal gain, as a result of which there has been a measurable shift towards self-centeredness, especially at a time when the world depends more on individuals who can give of themselves. Developed through emotional attachment with other human beings, empathy is our ability to respond, feel, and understand the need and suffering of other human beings. Studies have linked low empathy to increased bullying, narcissism, rigid belief system, and civic apathy. As educators, it is imperative that we focus not on completing our syllabus or course outline, but on helping our students become better individuals. According to an article from Greater Good Science, University of California, highly empathetic people challenge prejudices and discover commonalities. They are able to gain experiences of others' life. They are able to listen and open themselves to others, inspire mass action and social change. All of these qualities foster personal growth and lifelong learning while contributing to the growth of society. In this session, I would specifically talk how we as English language teachers can develop empathy in our students. But before moving on to that, I would first talk about the kind of relationship that we need to develop with our students. The very first thing that we need to focus on is creating meaningful relationship with our students and inculcating an environment where students can develop capacity to feel for others. We need to create an environment in our class where all the students must feel seen, felt, understood, regardless of how they learn and what are their grades. Teachers who know, appreciate, and respect their students beyond academics help them feel cared for, and as a result, help them feel the same towards others. In addition to this, our roles shouldn't be limited to teaching, but we must be mentors to our students. It is crucial for us to actually listen, support, and encourage them and show interest in our students as individuals. No matter which subject we are dealing with, as teachers, it is important for us to discuss and tackle tough concepts and teach values associated with good citizenship. We need to inculcate in them qualities such as compassion, kindness, service, teamwork. The aim should be to transform them into responsible citizens who strive to improve their communities and contribute to solve societal problems. Now the question comes, what can we do as English language teachers? First of all, we all know that as language teachers, we have enough liberty and freedom to choose and design our own material, our own resources. And in language teaching, there has been a lot of emphasis on choosing authentic texts. In the past few decades, there has been a shift from teaching language through traditional grammar books to teaching language through authentic texts and material that are more related to real life contexts. For instance, there are a number of resources that can be utilized to teach language on one hand, and on the other, those things are more relatable to our students. These resources include choosing documentaries, TED Talks, movies, different books, articles, blogs. So we have a room for selecting different materials for teaching language. The other point is that we should choose a variety of texts. While teaching English language, our aim should not only be to teach them the grammar of the language, but to help them understand different perspectives. By choosing a variety of texts, I mean that we can bring in multicultural perspective, multiple perspective in our classroom for our students, as doing so will help them become more tolerant towards individuals belonging to different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures. The other thing that we can do is expose our students to different worldviews. In addition to this, it is important for us to encourage extensive reading. We need to develop in our students a habit of reading different books. While reading, they are exposed to different settings, different issues around them. This will again help them understand different perspectives, different worldviews, and will make them a well-informed individual. Besides that, it is important for us to develop curiosity in our students. They shouldn't be only encouraged to read, but question whatever they read. Because questioning is the first step towards understanding. Last but not the least, link curriculum to real-world service activities. One of the very important things that needs to become a part of our classroom culture is to discuss things that matters. It is important for us to bring in our class and discuss about social issues, issues that are important to be discussed, issues that are important to the world that we live in. For instance, when I was planning lesson for my first year university students, I would ensure that I bring texts or maybe documentaries which are based on real life social issues. I have recently selected a text on bullying, and before starting the reading of the text, I would make my student talk about the instances of bullying that they themselves have faced somewhere in their life, or that they have seen other people facing in their life, and what as individuals they have done to stop that. So the idea is to help them become familiar with language while reading, and also to help them understand different issues that surround them. Similarly, one more reading text that I selected was the stories based on racism, so that they can understand what those characters, the characters in the story have gone through or have felt in their life as a result of facing racism. So whenever we are selecting text or literature in itself has a lot of room for developing these qualities in the reader. We as teachers have to ensure that whatever material we are choosing has the capacity to develop these values in our students. Suggest and make them read books that offer beautiful lessons about friendship, compassion, kindness, and acceptance. It is a common practice that we all like to read things that are mostly in accordance to our already existing beliefs. But the real challenge is to read things that challenge our perspectives, because in this way only we'll be exposed to different perspectives. Now I would talk about some activities that we all can do with our students in our classes. First, encourage students to share their stories. Talk about things that matter and promote a culture of storytelling. Storytelling on one hand helps them imagine, on the other it helps them relate to the person whose story they are reading. So we all can encourage our students to share their stories with their classmates. There are different apps through which you can ask your students to write or share their stories with their class fellows. For example, there is this app which is known as Pictello. You can have your students use this storytelling app to upload pictures, videos, and their voices to illustrate an emotional experience in their lives or to describe their likes and dislikes. Through sharing, students will begin to see what it's like for their peers. A very important part of developing empathy in your students is to develop in them the habit of reflection. So you can develop the habit of reflection in your students by asking them to maintain journals. By writing, it is easier to keep track of your feelings, your beliefs, your perspectives, and with time to improve them. Try to connect your students with individuals from different cultures. You can do this through Skype communication. For instance, if you're conducting a speaking session, a speaking class, you can help them listen and connect with native speakers, individuals from different cultures. This will help them practice their speaking skills on one hand and will help them connect to people of different cultures on the other. There is one more thing that can help in this regard, and that is the idea of pen pal. So through becoming pen pal, you get to connect with people and different individuals, and in turn you get to know them better. And knowing different individual is also a way of becoming more empathetic. Play together is yet another important activity that we need to include in our classroom, because this will help students connect with each other. So there are different activities that can be done while creating a culture of playing together. There are different movies on empathy that you can use as a resource material for your classes. For instance, for one of my lessons, I used a movie, Freedom Writers, which was based on the concept of racism. It also highlighted the incident of Holocaust. And so I planned different activities related to the movie. I asked my student to watch that movie. Then we had a discussion on what the characters went through in that movie, which was obviously based on the theme of racism. And after that, I introduced a book that was related to Holocaust. That was the story of a young girl, Anne Frank. So there are different ways of using these resources in your classrooms. Last but not the least, please get your students talk about inclusivity. It's very important for them to understand the marginalized group of society. So it's important for us to help them understand their perspective, their issues, their problems, and help them take initiatives about things that are happening around them. For instance, in one of my classes, I talked about the issues of transgender communities. In this session, I have discussed what is empathy, why is it important to teach empathy in educational institute, what can we do as English language teacher, our role as teachers in general, some things that are to become a part of our classrooms, and some activities that we can do with our students in our language classroom specifically. The aim was to help the language teachers and teachers in general understand that our role is not only to teach a subject, teach or complete a syllabus, but as teachers, we must not forget that we are nation builders. And it is high time that we understand our responsibility as teachers, that we develop healthy and meaningful relationship and bond and rapport with our students and help them become a better version of themselves and stay there for them whenever they need us.